All right, so solar. We love solar.
Mm-hmm.
Massive fusion reactor in the sky sends us 100
Free
times
energy.
more energy. 100 times more energy in a day than the world uses in a year. So it's great. All you need is a receiver. But lots of people are nervous about it. And
Yep.
there are some good reasons, right? And you live in East Anglia, and the first thing is they worry about the impact on the countryside.
Well, I've tried to explain it to people. You're just changing what you're farming. The farmer covering a field with solar panels is now just farming sunlight, as opposed to farming rape, which it changes the colour very slightly, but there's less impact on the land from solar than there is from growing most crops.
Well, it's good for the underlying land.
It's very good for the land. The land basically has an opportunity to lie fallow, or you can put different crops underneath it, or you can graze animals. There are a lot of options globally. There's a number of applications, if you like, sub-solar underneath the solar. And of course, when the solar farm has been through its life cycle, which is probably 30 to 40 years, you can basically just pick it up and take it away. And the ground is virtually undisturbed.
Well, as you say, it's been lying fallow, or you've had livestock on it, so it could get better. I mean, there's an interesting survey came from the RSPB a couple of weeks ago, the Royal Society for Protection of Birds, which is a very big, very pro-nature NGO. And what they found was that there were 3 times as many wild birds on solar fields than there were in agricultural fields.
Yeah.
And the biodiversity was massively increased. So that's a benefit.
Yeah, because you're not controlling. The reality about farmland is that the environment to grow the crops needs to be controlled chemically to enhance the yield from the fields. Because obviously, if you're growing a monocrop, so basically you're growing the same crop in a very large field, the whole of that field is subject to the same frailties and weaknesses. So certain types of disease, certain types of pests can decimate the whole field. It's not like growing a few rows of everything.
Yeah.
So it has to be very carefully controlled, and it's normally done with chemicals. You don't need any of that if you've got a solar farm. You can, I mean, one of the issues I've heard from people with solar farms that I've put in is paying the guy to mow the grass around the solar panels. It's a pain in the neck, but you can do other
You can put
things.
sheep there.
Put sheep there. Yeah, they mow
the
it
sheep
for you.
like it. I mean, in hot countries, the sheep like to lie under the solar panels. It's a bit of shade.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's called agrivoltaics, and in a number of places, it's being done very well. There was a big trial in France last year of solar panels above vines. So they're suspended at wires quite far above, and what it does is it helps shade the vines, and it does 2 things. It stops in the very hot periods, it stops the sun frying the grapes, and it also, in the cold periods, stops frost. So the
traps
yields,
some warmth underneath.
Yeah, the yields are significantly higher from the grapes. Plus, you've got another source of income in the solar panels. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, and I think I can understand some of the things, especially around where I live. There's been a number of recent, very large solar installations been given approval, but we're talking about people investing like £600 million at a time into what is basically a new industry for East Anglia. And why East Anglia? Because it's flat and it's easy to build solar panels on, and it's in the right place. It's also the driest part of the United Kingdom, so you don't need to clean the panels quite so much because of rain and everything else. So it's just it's change. And I can understand people, generally the human race has a problem with change. They have, through the continual change we've made in the last 10,000 years, there's probably people whinging about Stonehenge being put up, but it's just a different way of looking.
You say about Stonehenge being put up. I mean, probably the biggest impact in reality is visual. It's looking out. People love a pastoral landscape. They look across it and say, "Oh, this is the same when Henry VII was on the throne," kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I doubt very much if they were growing, 500 acres of rape at the time, or anything similar. The reality is that it's going to change the look very slightly, but you will never get a quieter neighbour than a solar farm.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
There's, if you've got crops, someone's got to harvest them. If you've got livestock, they make livestock type noises. If you've got a factory making things, the thing it's harvesting is exported through a cable and doesn't make any noise.
No emissions, no chemical
nothing.
fertilizers.
Nothing. It doesn't leave anything behind. Nothing leaks from the system into the soil. There's no contamination.
No foundations.
No, and the reality is a lot of farm landowners are making this decision because it's commercially more viable than growing crops which go into a variable market, that you can plant a crop with the expectation of the market price being a certain amount, and then weather changes elsewhere means that someone else has got an abundant crop and you're going to make half as much money out of it as you expected. Whereas betting on the energy price is probably a bit of a surer bet.
I mean, the other thing that everybody reminds everybody all the time is that if you buy a house, you don't buy the view. You can complain, but you don't buy it, and things change. People can build houses, they can build factories, whatever they get permission for, and it's solar is much lower impact than any other form of development.
I think so. I mean, if you were talking about something like wind, obviously you've got break in the horizon, but you don't even get horizon break with the solar panels, and that's something that planning is concerned about. Are you changing the view on the horizon?
Yeah, and many fields, you got a high hedge, you just don't see it at all.
No. Another major advantage, obviously, with solar panels is that when you have finished with them, you can take them away, break them up, take the rare earths out, recycle the stuff back into the system, because you're basically looking glass with a thin mesh of metal in between of particular types, quite rare metals, and there's a market for those materials secondhand. So obviously it's a bit like the battery recycling market. It's not gained massive impetus yet because we still haven't got to the point where a huge amount of solar panels are ready to be recycled, because it's a, whatever it is, 20-year-old industry at sort of grid level.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, people worry about the end of life pollution, and I just don't think they should be. Most of the stuff they say, it's glass, it's steel, it's a bit of silicone, it can all be recycled and reused. Well, not all of it, but maybe 90%.
Yep.
And on you go. The land is back to whatever you want to do.
Yeah, put some more solar panels on.